Hey guys, Street Games here again. This movie with Luffy was Askeladd's reincarnation. In this one, Luffy's age would be the same as Ace and Sabo's, but also Luffy would basically be kind of different. Like he has the same charisma, I would say, but like basically same charisma, but then a bit more of a sly and cunning person. It was a bit weird, but yeah. So this we go forward on to basically we can go forward on to basically Luffy and him growing up with Ace and Sabo. He still has to get the straw hat and everything, but that's not really like Shanks doesn't know that Luffy's a bit more on the evil side. He sees a combination of Blackbeard and Roger in Luffy, like basically the devilish side of like Blackbeard, but also the the spirits of Roger. So yeah. And then eventually, when it came to Luffy, he's living with Ace for like the last 5 years. So, yeah. So as Luffy basically ended up, living with Ace and Sabo for a bit, or Ace, Sabo, and running them at some point. And Luffy would also, be given a sword by Shanks, along with Straw Hat. As Luffy had already beaten up Higum and his guys by using one of their cutlasses, but Shanks recognized that Luffy's martial arts style, or at least sword style, was not one of, a cutlass or even a katana. But he ends up going onto his boat, finding a sword that belonged to a member of CP9, and that sword happened to be a kind of like a broadsword. And Shanks ended up showing Luffy the blades, and Luffy ended up getting one similar to Askeladd's, but also two daggers like Thorfinn's. Luffy kind of grabs a weapon resembling a Viking's blade. So yeah, hold up. Yeah, Luffy used basically two daggers like Thorfinn, and he had those on his hip, on his back under his armor, or the hilts were under his armor as he pulled them out, then he could throw them. So two daggers. There's then kind of like a short sword, and then a few other random blades, kind of like small knives basically. And yeah. Now Luffy would also end up going on to Luffy would also end up going on to basically when it came to getting the blades, Luffy was pretty easily able to defeat everyone around Luffy's not around Luffy, around Blue Jam's crew and all them. They were easily defeated by him. They were not hard to defeat. It was a rather easy battle. So yeah. Because that battle being relatively easy, I would say we can probably go on to Luffy when it came to Nagari's training. Came to that, Luffy did excel as he actually would learn decent observation haki from Nagari. Luffy, like Askeladd, in this one has natural talent. Luffy's natural talent manifested with swords, but also manifested with observation haki, which also allowed Luffy to basically how do I phrase this? Not that he saw attacks coming, but as soon as an attack was launched, he would see a very obvious weak point in that attack, so he'd launch. So Luffy's able to see weak points, and basically his mind basically determines how much force is needed. Should I cut? Should I punch? Should I kick? Should I headbutt? And Luffy would develop an acute sense of hand-to-hand combat from that. So yeah, remember Ace and Sabo had never beaten him after he learned observation haki, and he's been learning observation haki for the last 7 years now. When Luffy set sail also, when Luffy's 17 and he set sail, he's already killed Blue Jam's entire crew on his own, even took all their riches and everything, and even ended up hiring a shipwright, using the money that he stole from them, to basically say, hey, I want you to make a ship that can be this big, I want you to make a generic pirate ship. At this point, Luffy's like 11 years old at this point. But everyone in the Great Terminal, everyone in the Kingdom knows who Luffy is. In fact, he's killed guards before. Luffy's basically just a pirate, or he's basically just a really strong bandit at this point to everyone. Because of this, Luffy is, given the request, allowed the request to build a giant ship. With this ship built, Luffy, it took 6 years to build, but Luffy's ship, he names it Thor's. And, immediately the captain, not captain, but the shipwright's why are you naming it Thor's? The strongest guard I killed, he was named Thor's. And he also was the only person that ever stabbed me. Immediately the shipwright's how old were you? He's 10. Everyone had a blank face. Luffy chuckled, saying, I learned an ancient form of martial arts that no one unless you have a lot of power should know. I'm someone, and I have a lot of power, so I learned it. But he chuckled as he ended up jumping on the boat, And Ace and Sabo had already set sail. The fact that they're older than him still by like Ace is born in January, Luffy is born in May. So Ace is 4 years older, and Sabo is 2 years older. So so Ace is January, February, March, April, May. Ace is 4 months older. Sabo is 2 months older. So yeah. So we go on now to just Luffy. Luffy sets sail at 14. He basically goes around the East Blue, plundering, stabbing, cutting anyone he can. Not even like being a pirate. He just goes on. He's kind of like a mercenary at sea as well. To the point where he's even hired by Baroque Works. Not like as an agent. Luffy's like, straight up, I'm not gonna work for someone else unless I'm getting paid handsomely. I was like, workers can get paid this much. It's like, yeah, but I'll be working under you. What'd I just say? And Luffy's like, how's this? Just send me high profile bounties that you can't send some people to do, and I'll get them. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. You can go. I'll let you do that. So yeah. So Luffy straight up just takes a few bounties that he's given. And yeah, with these bounties, he pretty much cuts down anyone in his way with really no difficulty. By the time Luffy has already finished 30 years of bounties, Luffy is also, he's strengthened his sword skill to the point where he's gone to Shimasuki Village, and he ended up he didn't kill, but he pretty savagely destroyed Zoro's teacher. Remember, Zoro's teacher now is covered in scars, is missing half of his arm, and has a few dozen stab wounds. Luffy didn't kill him, but he simply says, you have talent, but I want to make sure that mine maxes out. So he fought until Zoro's teacher just collapsed. He didn't kill him and he recovered, but Zoro's teacher honestly didn't hold any resentment towards Luffy, saying that the way Luffy fought, he's an actual master. But also, he's a demon. He fights till the opponent can no longer fight, just so he knows that his skill is better than theirs. So with this, Zoro now wants to hunt down Luffy. But then we cut forward to now, now we cut forward probably about, when Luffy's 20. And we go to him basically in like the, what was it? Oh yeah, in Shelltown. Or first, after he beat Alvida's entire crew. And Luffy's strength is basically the same as in canon, it's just contained inside a normal body, because Luffy does not have a devil fruit in this one. Luffy's just raw talent. And that raw talent will carry him through the Grand Line. But Luffy basically using just the strongest back fist, taking Mustard and Alvida flying to the same island as in canon. Because Alvida tried to hit him with a Kanabo, he simply just dodged and back fisted her in the teeth and knocked her out. But it's no difference for flying at the same time. So yeah. Also, look at my notes, I realized one thing. I am doing a Vinland Saga What If, but I'm just going to ask you guys what I should do. Should I do what if Thorfinn was like, I would say older, being like the same age as the sister? Or what if Thorfinn was a genius? So you guys can choose one of those two. I'm pretty sure Thorfinn's sister by the time he left was like 15, 16. So he'd be a lot older in the story. And I'd probably go to the anime, the fact that the story is hyping up so much now that season 2 has been announced. So, yeah. But, yeah. Now we go on basically to Luffy when he is, when he gets to Shelltown. At Shelltown, he drops off Kobe, who's basically just shaking a bit nervous, actually, right now. That Luffy's just an average guy, but beats the shit out of Alvida and her entire crew on his own. And eventually we go forward again on to I would say, just Luffy and... Moving forward onto Luffy and probably just Zoro seeing him there. Luffy's like, huh, he looks familiar. Luffy's only like a year older than Zoro though, so yeah. But he still calls Zoro like brat and everything. When Luffy beat up Zoro's teacher. Luffy was like, I would say 19, so like a year ago, and Zoro was 18. Zoro recognized Luffy ended up cutting him free and told Zoro that when they're done here, he's gonna give Zoro his swords, and he'll name Zoro like he named his teacher. Zoro was greatly enraged by this and punched out Luffy. Luffy to dodge, grab his arm, lock arms with him, then flip Zoro, and Zoro's in the air, just punching the gut full force, sending him flying through the brick wall. Zoro's just upside down against the building, coughing up blood. Kobe ran over straight into his body so that the blood didn't choke him to death, but still. So yeah. Luffy just smirked as he ended up pulling out one of the daggers and just ran inside the building, and Helmpo had saw Luffy. Before he do anything, Luffy dropped two daggers, throwing the daggers in both Helmpo's guards' necks, then drop-kicked Zoro, drop-kicked Helmpo in the face, knocking him out. Helmpo pulled the daggers out, and Charlie just cut down everyone in his way using the daggers and even drawing his sword. By the time he got to the roof where Morgan was, immediately Luffy ended up throwing basically just the daggers right at Morgan's axe hand. So as soon as basically Morgan ended up being able to deflect the attacks, well, because of that, because Morgan deflecting the attacks, he thought that Luffy didn't have any other weapons. Luffy's hiding his blade pretty well. So Morgan went in to slash Luffy's head off. Luffy jumped clean over him and kicked him in the neck full force. With this, he ended up basically caving in Morgan's throat and crushing it. Morgan coughing up blood heavily, only picked up with one hand by Luffy and then thrown off the roof. And he landed, well, basically face first and died. So, yeah. As Zoro saw Luffy took down every Marine in the base without getting cut once. Luffy just kind of jumped off the roof, landing on Morgan, and then got up, taking his blades, and Helmpo ended up walking out, coughing, holding Zoro's blades. So yeah. And Zoro could see very obvious footprints on, like, Helmpo's chest, so Luffy obviously used his feet in there, too. And his hands. Luffy's hands were covered in blood, too. So yeah. So as soon as Morgan ended up, well, dead now, Helmpo saw this, being very shocked, and now wants to kill Luffy himself. But he can't do so. Even if he drew a gun, Luffy just simply dodged the bullet, or just blocked it using the daggers. Or just tanks it. In fact, his durability is also the same. It's just that he's not rubber, so it doesn't bounce off of him, but then it goes deep into his body. So, yeah. His body's just a fortress of muscle. So, yeah. But, yeah. But now we go on, probably just to Zoro getting his swords back and recovering a bit. You know, Luffy took down every single Marine the moment he arrived. He's been there for like 15 minutes by the time Morgan's dead. So, yeah. With this, Morgan ended up, well... Yeah. So, once Morgan's dead, Zoro ended up getting like some new clothes, basically the same as post-Dressrosa. Then kind of like a dress-up shirt, regular pants, same boots, and the band around his waist. Zoro with this ended up fighting Luffy, and Luffy's pretty easily able to just block every single attack using his longsword, or his regular short sword, I guess, and then ended up jabbing it right into Zoro's foot and kicked him in the chest. Zoro ended up coughing, telling Luffy he's not fighting like a swordsman, but Luffy simply just said, "I never claimed to be a swordsman. I'm just a guy who wields one." Zoro ended up coughing, only to be headbutted in the chin and knocked out. Luffy took the sword to Zoro's foot, and everyone realized that Luffy didn't actually stab Zoro in the foot. There's no blood in the blade. Luffy just stabbed it right into the front of the boot, making that Zoro almost fell over, then got punched and kicked and everything. So, yeah. So, now with this, they end up leaving, as Luffy tells Zoro that he'll bring him out to sea, make sure that Zoro gets strong enough to actually become a match for him. Zoro didn't like this, but he has no other choice now. So now with this, we go on to about, well, yeah, we can probably go on now to like, yeah, we can go on now to Orange Town. As Luffy arrived there, though, Nami's being chased. Luffy ended up being bumped into by her. But as soon as she moved into him, telling everyone that Luffy's her boss, he just put her up as a shield, and showed us that Luffy's actually gonna let her die. As soon as that happened, Zoro jumped over him and cut both the guys down. Not because I was not seeing Zoro there at all, but then he was there suddenly. He just dropped her and called her an idiot for saying that he's her boss. And then he's even Zoro's boss, and he'll sacrifice his life on a whim. And Nami kind of thought of Luffy the same as Arlong, so there wasn't much to do about that. So, yeah. But eventually with this, we go on probably to about Luffy, who would end up, just probably actually Nami, like about Buggy's whole crew and everything. Nami, they're giving Luffy the rundown, and he decides to take them down because it seems interesting to fight a devil fruit user. He's fought a few of them, but not one who's immune to swords, or at least immune to slashing. So he wants to see if he's immune to stabbing. So yeah. So if he's immune to stabbing, Luffy will try that out. So yeah. So with this, Luffy basically ended up kind of running up a building at top speeds. As soon as he got to the top, Buggy would just see Luffy in front of him. But Luffy also saw them loading a cannon. As soon as the cannon, Luffy saw what was in the cannon. He just threw a dagger into it, making it explode. Luffy's body's pretty much able to take the majority of the blast, but his arms are still pretty burned, same for his legs. And Buggy ended up using 2 guys in front of him as a shield. So yeah. So as soon as Buggy dropped the shield, he thought that Luffy killed himself in the blast. And so did Nami. He saw Luffy jump right above Buggy and stab him clean through the shoulder. Luffy did the rest of Buggy was immune to stabs too. Buggy chuckled, only to be put in a chokehold. Well, as soon as Luffy ended up realizing, Luffy's like, oh, you can't be stabbed. Just the blade rotated and just choked out Buggy. Even if Buggy tried to separate his head, Luffy ended up basically grabbing onto his neck and just holding it. Luffy has his thumb pressed on Buggy's throat, and Buggy's just choking. So yeah. Now Buggy ended up just coughing, just passing out. Luffy chuckles, seeing that, not even seeing a human, just sees a human shield. Or sees a meat shield, basically. I don't see a person, I see a goddamn shield. I'll take it. So yeah. So with this, Luffy basically ended up, deeming Buggy as his new shield, so he ended up grabbing Buggy by the hair and dragging him onto his boat. He also told Zoro to loot their ship as much as possible. There was a scoff saying, don't order me around. And then just looted the ship. Not only how much money they had, even saw Zoro carrying the map of the Grand Line. He ran to Zoro trying she's not going to help the staff, only for Luffy to throw Buggy in the way, saying, do your job. Buggy got hit over the head, calling Luffy a bastard, and Luffy just chopped Nami in the side of the head, knocking her out. And he assumes because simply she has a map, she wants the map badly, and that does have value, sure. But she needs to have a different purpose other than the money. So he decides to actually try to have Nami as a navigator as a sort, seemingly that's what she wants. So yeah. With this, Luffy ended up, not taking Nami with him as a navigator. He's a pretty good one himself, though. So, yeah. He's been all across the east. He's been all across the east, the north. He's been all 4 blues, basically, and he's been through paradise. Yeah, he hasn't been to the New World, though, the fact that there's been no bounties in the New World that Crocodile has ever been requested Luffy to take. So, yeah. So, now we go forward on to just, Orangetown. Not Orangetown, Dirt Village. Luffy is actually coming here to get Usopp. He just saw a poster of Shanks and thought of, Usopp for a second, but I thought, Usopp as a kid. He's not my age, but around it. So, maybe someone here with a bit of talent, like his dad. We arrived, and Usopp's like, I'm here with my 10,000 men. We scoffed, saying, this village is smaller than mine, and then the town that I grew up in barely had 100. There's not even 1,000 people here, I guarantee it. Usopp just froze, and signs crumbling. We just says, kidding, there's at least 2,000. And he threw a knife right where Usopp was standing. We ended up jumping up, and as Usopp ended up freaking out, he was kicked in the face by Luffy. Luffy knew from the nose, not from the nose, but from basically the hair, everything about Usopp besides the nose, that it was Usopp's kid. And Luffy ended up catching Usopp before he hit the ground, and Luffy ended up grabbing everyone else. Or the 3 kids. So yeah. So, yeah. Now, pause real quick. So, yeah. Now, Usopp woke up eventually, in his house with his mouth a bit bandaged up, and he saw that Luffy ended up kicking out, 3 of his teeth. But they were put back in by the town's doctor. Zoro also ended up being treated by the town's doctor, a bit as if he just ended up finding someone that knew decent amount of medical knowledge. So, yeah. And, Kuro ended up sinking on the ship trying to steal some money, only get slammed in the knee by Nami's staff, breaking his leg immediately. And she ended up beating him mercilessly with her staff, but told him that she knows who he is, though she'll spare his reputation if he just leaves quietly. He turned on town, basically saying that he was walking on the cliffs, finding berries, and the cliff ended up breaking, and he fell down. So yeah. So this, he's being treated, and eventually, well, he meets a Django, but Luffy and Usopp are still spying on him. Usopp was a bit angry. Luffy ended up pulling out a pistol, telling Usopp, if you're angry, express it. Usopp was a bit nervous, but Luffy simply told Usopp, I'm the bravest warrior in all the seas. Being brave as a pirate would mean fighting for life or death. And fighting for those around you. I frankly don't care for those around me, at least not yet. You guys haven't proven anything to me. If you can prove yourself right here and now, I can make you any position you want on my crew besides the captain. That's me, and you haven't earned that power. But Usopp would end up being shaken a bit before actually kind of drawing the gun, and simply just shot, Kuro right in the head. There's Kuro on the ground dead, not dead, but Luffy just saw him hit the ground. Luffy didn't realize one thing, that Kuro's head was scraped and not even, had a hole in it. But Kuro ended up getting up with one leg, then disappeared for a second, and ended up using his blade to try to cut Usopp. Luffy ended up cutting the blades off, and Kuro disappeared again. So yeah. We ended up retreating into the town for a while, until eventually the entirety of, Kuro's crew arrived. When they arrived, Luffy already knew where he was going to be and had everyone there ready, with a few traps too. Kuro's the first one there, as he still had a limping leg, still was able to use shave, just a bit slower. Now everything was okay and fine, until Luffy did something almost the exact same technique. Luffy appeared right below him, and ended up, cutting him wide open from the chest. Now, Kuro ended up coughing blood as if he's like, the human body looks gross to me from the inside. I'm looking at it, it looks gross. Until he then used a dagger and simply just cut his ribs wide open. And he ended up falling on the ground, basically having almost every organ in the chest fall out of him. So yeah. And we're talking about Kuro was beaten that quickly, and Luffy could use the same technique as him. The difference is, Luffy's a bit slower, but he can also see while doing it. Django even tried to hypnotize Luffy, but Usopp ended up drawing the gun again and shooting Django 4 different times. But then drew a slingshot, rising the guns are in his style, and just knocked him out with a lead ball to the head. So yeah. Now eventually with this, Luffy decided to cut down the rest of Kuro's crew that he could, with Nami and Usopp just spiraling or hitting down on them. And Zoro easily destroyed the Mappan brothers, because Luffy ended up saving him from being stabbed by Buggy, or Kabaji. I forgot who did it, honestly. Guys, what about Buggy? He's someone kind of making sure the village is right and tidy, but also ended up collecting payment from Kaya. So, yeah. Now, next up will probably end up being just the Brautier arc now. But, in the Brautier, honestly, this arc is not much different, in my opinion, until we get to Krieg declaring that the Brautier is his. Luffy stood up before putting a sword to Kuro's neck, Krieg's neck, saying, "Wait, no, I clean the joint first." Krieg recognized Luffy as Luffy's notorious bounty hunter, and started this work as he put a gun to Luffy's head as well, saying, "What are you gonna do against bullets, monk straw hat Luffy?" Luffy decided before it ended up moving his blade so quickly to the point where Krieg's head just fell off. Luffy catching the gun before firing it down upon Krieg's entire crew, and he killed Pearl in the process. Again realized that Luffy already killed the big shots of Krieg's crew besides him. That he stands no chance. Behind Luffy, though, he got down Krieg's entire crew with no difficulty. Zoro didn't really do much there, realizing Luffy probably handled the entire crew on his own, so yeah. Now Nami tried to steal Thor's, but Luffy is a giant ship that's over 230 feet in length. In length, the ship is 230 feet. Luffy's going to see it moving. So immediately he just ended up running. Then used swords, he disappeared across the water, and ended up having a sword into the back of the ship and pulled himself up. Luffy climbed aboard and ended up pulling out, dropping the anchor. And then realized the ship had stopped. Zoro, Sanji, all of them are during the crew, so they kind of swam aboard the ship with Buggy being on Zoro's back. As soon as Zoro got aboard, Buggy put a knife to Zoro's neck, who Zoro's headbutted him, breaking his face, basically. And Buggy's just on the ground, passed out now, but Zoro simply says, "Did she try to rob us?" And Luffy ended up having Nami like by the hair, saying she did, but he forgives her. Sanji went in to go attack Luffy because he's mistreating women, but Sanji ended up getting a blade right in his foot, but he barely moved it, but the blade's still holding his foot down. But Zoro already knew what followed after this, or thought he did. Only for Sanji tried to take out Luffy again. Luffy ended up dodging, and lifted up Sanji, by his leg that was still in the air, and Sanji ended up getting basically forehead first onto the deck of the boat, or at least onto the sides of it, kind of cracking his head open, giving him a giant scar, but yeah, he's knocked out now, though. So yeah. With Sanji knocked out, they end up sailing onto Arlong Park, and Nami ends up, she ends up going to Arlong still and everything, but Luffy's watching from above. Sanji's getting his head fixed. Also, Mihawk still fought Zoro, but Luffy fought as well, and Luffy ended up losing himself. But still, Luffy having higher durability than Zoro does right now, he didn't get as bad as a wound. So, yeah. So he kind of ended up stitching his wound up himself with the fact he's done that for a year on his own. He's done that for years on his own, so he's good right now. He's had much deeper cuts. So, yeah. And with this, we could probably go on now to just Arlong Park at the same time as in canon, probably. So, yeah. Luffy ended up walking up to the doors, opening it, and Arlong recognized Luffy. Luffy and Zoro are both notorious mercenaries and bounty hunters, so, yeah. But with this, immediately Hachi attacked Zoro. Zoro himself pretty easily just dodged and drew his sword, breaking all of Hachi's in one slash. A lot of Zoro's current power that he's gained is made through rage and in spite of Luffy, basically. So he's a very angry man right now. And it ended up tilting his blade, knocking Hachi over the temple with it, knocking him out in that one go. And Luffy looked at Arlong, telling him he wants a captain-on-captain fight. Arlong told Luffy with a sword, so he punched a hole through his wall, pulling out his giant shark-tooth sword, and they ended up fighting. So yeah. So Arlong ends up running at Luffy using his giant shark tooth blade. Luffy pretty easily dodges, punched Arlong right in the elbow full force, breaking his arm. And Arlong's like, I'm not an average fishman. I'm supernaturally strong. Fishmen are already stronger than humans by a lot. I'm stronger than humans by a canyon amount of strength. But in one basic punch with no effort, this brat broke my arm. Arlong ended up dropping his blade immediately. Only Luffy picked it up with his mouth, and then used that same motion to cut Arlong's head off in that one swift motion. Luffy ended up dropping his blade, looking at his tooth. Tooth says he had chipped one of them. So he just says, I don't understand how he wields an entire blade with his mouth. But then again, that blade is 40 pounds. So, of course it was heavy. I think 40 pounds is like 19 or 18 kilograms. Maybe even 20 kilograms. So, yeah. Because 45 kilograms is 20. So it might be 18 or 19. Maybe even 17. So, yeah. So with this, Arlong ended up losing his head to Luffy, and immediately Kurubu dropped his fight with Sanji to run at Luffy. Luffy just told Sanji, finished the fight already. Sanji just ran in and kicked Kurubu behind the back of his knees, then ended up throwing him into a chokehold, over his head, into a wall, where Sanji followed up with a knee kick to the chin, full force, and ended up snapping his neck in the same process. It's something Luffy tells his crew, fight with as much, it doesn't matter if you fight dirty, it doesn't matter if you fight proper, fight to win, and only win. And Luffy sees Sanji's reason to not hit women. Luffy himself doesn't really blame him. So yeah. And when it came to Usopp versus Chu, immediately Usopp ended up running before actually ended up drawing a gun and kind of just smacking Chu over the jaw with it. Usopp still keeps the fact that it was his first sign of being a brave warrior of the sea. Chu ended up backing up, holding his jaw, only for Buggy to stuff him full of knives over and over again. Then as soon as Chu ended up being jumping away, coughing up blood, Buggy ended up throwing off his cape, and immediately Chu saw basically a cannonball. Usopp ended up running, drop kicking the cannonball full force, and made it go kind of just fly a decent distance. It landed on Chu's face, and as soon as Chu ended up hitting the ground with it, the cannonball ended up blowing up, killing him. So he's just panting, wondering I'm not caring if he's dead or not. He's just wondering how he has that much strength now. Pause. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, Gein's with him, by the way. Gein's kind of doing his own thing against just other fishmen. But yeah. But yeah, so Usopp kind of like panting and wondering if he's going to be ready for it to sea yet. But Kokoyashi would have a giant 3-day party for, well, Luffy. For Luffy and the crew, where Luffy ended up hooking up with Nojiko and Nami. So, yeah. Sanji's very jealous of Luffy now. So, yeah. But after this, we probably go forward onto the next arc being Loguetown, which is Alvida trying to kill Luffy, or Luffy just decides to beat her up and then take her onto his crew. But Luffy also heard about Bartolomeo, so went to find him, beat him up, and then took him on his crew. So, yeah. So later he fought Smoker, and Smoker ended up losing his Seastone staff, but Luffy ended up grabbing and knocked him over the head with it full force, and he's unconscious after that one blow, so Luffy ended up winning. So, yeah. So he defeated Smoker. After this, I'm probably going to end this part here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for another well, what if, and tell me in the comments if you would prefer what if Thorfinn was older, or what if Thorfinn was a genius. Adios.